might mean something. Now, is it odd? No, not yet. But again, it's something to play with. I do it all the time, even when I'm moving cows. There you go. There you go. And we kind of forget about our breath a lot of times, you know, because thank God it's automatic, because I would probably be passing out if I had to be in charge of it. Okay, let's go ahead and walk him. And what I want you to do is you're going to walk along the inside edge of our little space here, of our big rectangle that we have. And then you see the letter C? You're going to follow, let's call it the rail. And then I want you to come up the letter C, so that's on a straight line toward A. And on that straight line, just ask him for a couple of stops and a couple of walks. Okay, so you just, anywhere you want to. And then when you get closer to the edge of our space, turn out to the left. So you're going to come down right-hand turn. You're going to put a couple of halts along this center line, and then you're going to turn out to your left, okay? So just make sure he's nice and straight first, and then think about bringing him up with your energy and your breath. Good, that was nice. And then want to kind of be looking where you're going. Perfect. As a person who rides horses for a living, I oftentimes get in the habit of looking down as well, and they call it the trainer's slump. You know, we're staring at the horse's head as if, I don't know why, as if it's going to reveal to me some secret, some secret information that I can't feel with my seat. So again, when I ask people to do something different with their body, I'm not a hypocrite. I fight all the same habits. Good, hi, you're looking good. Yeah, and then think about, there you go, good. Yep. And then just give him a little bit of a countdown so he knows it's coming. There you go. That took half the distance to get there. Because once we start getting tuned in, once we start getting them tuned into what we're asking for, that stuff can happen almost on the spot. At first, I think about I need to draw it with kind of thick crayons. You know what I mean? I got to ask everything with thick crayons. And then I go into a fine point pen. I can ask it, you know, or chainsaw to scalpel. At first it's kind of big, and sometimes it's kind of raw, which is okay. But the more I practice it, the finer and quicker it can get, okay? Let's ask him for one more halt, wherever you want to. Give him a little bit of a countdown. Yeah, there. Good, good. And then your other job, your breath is good. I think ahead about it, so I don't want it to be a surprise. Now, sometimes you just need to flat stop a horse, and you need to stop them now, and there was no warning. Okay, but most of the time we kind of know it's coming. So think about, again, I'm going to use a vehicle analogy. So if you're cruising and you see that the traffic is starting to stop in front of you, or you see the stop sign coming, I don't know if you've ever been a passenger with somebody who just like waits to the last second and hits the brakes real hard. You know, one of those we all kind of laugh. About the fourth one, I'm like, boy, you're not a whole lot of fun to ride with, right? So you want to be stopping him. You can send him forward again, that's fine. You want to be stopping him with that notion like you're slowing that vehicle down. So that's when I think about that countdown. And I might do different things with my body. My breath is a big part of that. So I don't want it to feel like all of a sudden you're just hitting the front brake. In other words, don't let it complement it with the hand. And you might have to be strong in the hand. Let's say you're doing everything right with your body and he just keeps on cruising. Oh gosh, I'll be pretty strong in the bridle if I need to. I'm not afraid to get into a horse's mouth. However, I would prefer, you know, my preference would be that they listen to my body. So let's come back down the center line. I'll make you have a left-hand turn. I'll get out of your way and you'll head toward the letter C. And just put a couple more halts in here. And we'll do some more stuff here in a second. I just want to make sure you guys have got your steering and your brakes feel pretty good. Good. There you go. Good. You've got a really good instinct for how to support him and not, you know, because some people sort of do this staggering little California stop, and the horses never realize that stop means stop. And stop needs to mean stop, doesn't it? Because I never know when I might need to put a full stop on a horse. I do it a lot. Good. So you kind of think about preparing for that stop sign, use your body up into your hand, and we'll ask him for one more. There you go. Good deal. Really nice. Good for you. And then let's go ahead and ask him to walk again, and let's turn to your right. Good, with your eyes, by the way. For the last several things I've asked you to do, you haven't looked down at all, or if you have, it was a glance. No, that's really good.
I'm trying to be real conscious of it.
Well, you know, again, it's just, I do all these weird things, and I don't get to work with my coaches very often because they all live so far away. And they'll be like, you're dropping your shoulder. And then I go to put it what looks like even to them, and it feels totally crooked to me. right? I mean, because the weird stuff becomes the default for us. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. Okay. Let's ask him if you're comfortable. Let's just do you want to do a little bit of trot and then back down to the walk? Okay, so let's set ourselves some markers. Why don't we, there's this letter E, don't worry, they don't mean anything. Letter E, let's pick up a little bit of trot and then bring him back down to the walk by the letter C. So E, pick up, back down to the walk at the letter C. So here with your breath again, good. You got it, looks good. And then prepare and bring him back down. Good for you. That was nice. And then again, I just kind of check out my body. So while you're walking by, I'll add a couple other things. Since you mentioned yoga, that alignment of our body can make such a difference, not just for me to stay safe. That's always my primary concern, is I want to stay on. The other thing is I want to be able to be comfortable up there, right? I want to not get off and go, oh, I've strained this part of my body. It's one thing when you haven't been riding and you just need to get used to sitting on a horse again. I don't have any great tips for just getting through that soreness. But when I ride, and I really ride, and I find myself, kind of weird, like behind my shoulder blade or something like that, fatigue, that means I'm probably not using my body in the best way. So when you're sitting up there, a little game that I play with myself is we already talked about allowing your body to roll with the horse. That's really good right there. That's excellent. Really, really good. I can see where you get your natural talent from. She has a good sit on horse too. So I really like that. And then I think about opening up across my chest, and I don't force anything, okay? Nothing is cramped, nothing is forced. But sometimes we tend to roll our shoulders a little bit, we get a little bit like this. So I imagine if I had angel wings, which of course you do, right? I do too, right? We all do. If you had angel wings while you're riding, if you pinched your angel wings together and then stuck them back in your jean pocket, and then just relaxed everything, my shoulders in a nice position. That looks really good, by the way. And see, and you want to be comfortable. Like if you're experimenting with some of the stuff I'm throwing at you, and you find something you're like, oh wow, that's really sore. Well, then work it in your body a little bit, right? This isn't torture session, I promise. Good. Okay, let's pick up our trot again at E. You're going to carry it into the first corner, second corner, and then across from it's the letter B as in boy. Bring it back down to the walk. So you're going to look ahead, which you're doing really good, by the way. There you go. Good, and then you're planning ahead. So you're thinking about sitting, you're going to use your exhale, good for you. Good for you. That was nice. So when he's moving, he's got a lot of loft, doesn't he? He has a lot of bounce in his movement. I mean, he's a really pretty gaited horse, which is nice. But sometimes that can really bounce me all over the place, which it does. Of course it does. Like sitting on a big trampoline. So think about when you're moving with him, if you want to post the trot, you can, or you can sit the trot. Either one's fine with me. But try to decide which one you want to do. You kind of got in between both of them. So you can either sit or post. They're both good. Or you can switch. But you were kind of doing a little post, a little sit, a little post, a little sit. No, that's all right, except for it got you out of rhythm, right? Because the the trotting goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I have this trick. I start humming Mary Had a Little Lamb in my head, or Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. They both get you there. And you can mix them together. I don't think I have the correct lyrics to either of them, to tell you the truth. They're burned into my brain as a child, of course, but I start going, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Lamb. That's not quite. So you can make up one, but either one of those songs, you can pick one. So we're going to trot again, and I want you to just be having that song in your head, and think about if you are going to post, which again is totally fine, or sit, just kind of let that rhythm go through your body and see if you guys can get on the same page of the music, okay? So let's pick up again at E, and why don't we take them all the way around back to E. Now at any point if you need to readjust or we need to break down to the walk and regroup, that's fine, but why don't we go all the way around one time? So you got your angel wings, you're looking through the windshield, you got your song going on. Good. Great with your eyes, by the way. Really good. Really good. Yeah. Just let that song go through your body. This is much better with your rhythm. Nice for you. That's the way. Yeah. Good. You're planning ahead. That's all right. He felt your plan, didn't he? Look at that. You should feel pretty darn good about that. Very nice. And you already know how to sit on a horse, right? That you come here with decades of being able to ride. All we're doing is we're just playing with a couple, like a little this, hey, like, what? Try moving that and see what that feels like. Because my job isn't to transform anything about you. It's more just to give you some ideas. And you might be like, oh, I kind of like that one, That's what you, yeah, that's what you drive away with, right? That's what you drive away with is you say, oh, okay. So you'll be out riding and doing whatever you're going to be doing on this horse. You're like, oh, hey, I can play. Let's walk him on to the letter C. Let's pick up the trot. And then I'm going to have you take the trot, make our turn down center line. Okay, so you're going to trot at C, stay along the rail, if you will. Then we'll turn down the center line, right-handed at trot. And then when we reach C again, we'll go out to the left. Okay? And so you just play with some of these things. Just play with some of these things. Kind of get your rhythm going. Great with your eyes, by the way. Really good. So you're thinking about your turn. Good. That's the way. And if he's kind of going and coming, just get your rhythm again. Get your song going on again. That's it. That's it. That's better. Oh, yeah. Yeah. How'd you feel about that? Yeah, it's because he's a good horse, and he's got really big expressive gaits. It's got a lot to it, and so in order to stay with it and not feel like you're off the music all the time. If you ever dance with somebody and they're a horrible dancer, and they're stepping on your feet, like, oh, I thought we were supposed to move here, or they just don't have any sense of rhythm. It happens, right? It happens. So the horse has got an innate trot inside of him, right? And he's got about 10 different trots, doesn't he? He could have a jog, he could have a medium, he could have a big, he could have a long trot where he needs to cover, you need to go get to the cattle in this next section. That's when you pull out the big long trot and you hold that for a long time. I mean, this horse is capable of so many different things. But when I'm riding them and I'm in this situation and I need it to be something reasonable, if I create that in my own body, I find a lot of time, I ride colts like that all the time. I'll be posting really strongly to my Mary Had a Little Lamb, and they, how they suck back and they surge forward and they're like riding a cooked noodle. And then pretty soon, if I can just get through the rocky part of the of our union, before I know it, we're lined out, and it feels really good, which is really fun. Okay.
What bothers me most probably is I feel a little unstable at the trot, like I'm not balanced.
Right. So let's work on that, because you do get a little bit ahead. You get a little bit ahead of your saddle horn, and he kind of wants to bounce you up this way. Okay. So I think about my body. If I were to look at you from the side, if you imagine moving with the trot, whether you're coming up and down and posting a little bit or you're sitting, it kind of applies the same. I think about how, in a grandfather clock, the pendulum, okay, and it swings back and forth. I imagine my body needs to be somewhat like that. So my upper body and my head, it's not that I'm forcing him to be still, that's not what I mean, but I try not to go out of alignment with that. In other words, if I find myself, if my front of my shirt is hovering over my saddle horn, that means that I've gotten myself a little bit too far forward. Now there's a time and a place when you want to get over your horse and get him going, okay, of course. And I know you don't want to come off the back, which I totally appreciate. Your body's probably like, this feels a little bit safer, which again is perfectly human to do that. But if we start posting up their neck, or sitting up their neck, if you will, then there's a really good chance I'm going to get out of sync with them. I start feeling unstable. I start feeling like I'm bound. So let's think about that pendulum. As he moves, the more of the action that you can take in your seat, in your leg, and even your lower back, and allow your upper body almost to just kind of be more still. Or another thing I told your daughter when she was here, that I visualize. I imagine that I've got some puppet strings. Okay, just go with me here. I've got 3 puppet strings, points of my shoulder, top of my head, and up to the sky. Okay, so I've got 3. The horse has 3 too, but I'm just going to talk about yours right now. So if I have this string that goes up into this imaginary puppeteer, okay, that doesn't mean it's ever stiff, does it? It doesn't mean that it's like I've got to, shimmy a broom handle down the back of my jeans. That's not what I'm looking for. It's more the notion that I am going to elevate myself. And so it's a filament, yeah, there's give to it. So play a little bit with the puppet strings, play a little bit with the idea of the pendulum, and let's just trot just on the inside like you have been doing. Let's just trot a little bit. Now, when you start to feel a little bit off balance, which is going to happen, okay, it's going to happen, think about relaxing into it. You know, because we want to kind of grip, don't we? We kind of want to grip and go, uh-oh, I'm out of balance. See if you can just fade into it a little bit. And at any point, you can break it back down to the walk. This isn't like, you know, you got to trot until I say. That's not it. So just play with it a little bit. Think about, get your song going on. Good. There you go. Yes, ma'am. Just play a little bit. And if any point you need to walk in, you walk in. There we go. Great with your eyes, by the way. Really good. This is already looking better. That's it. Super good. Yep. There we go. Good. And then let's melt him into the walk. Just think about it. And then you're going to think about walking. You're going to, I might have had your horse on remote control. Or maybe you did. Maybe we both did. Okay. So I don't know how some of that felt for you. But you looked really good, okay, because you started off a little here, okay, a little bit, so we're out of that pendulum, right? So this isn't, you know, pendulum wasn't going to swing very well like this, but then you found that place, and you got taller, and you started swinging with the horse with your seat. Because if my seat can take up, when I say seat, technically I don't mean just our rump in the saddle. Really what I'm talking about is from the bottom of my lowest rib all the way to my knee is kind of what I think about, honestly, being my seat. So the more that can take up the concussion and the swing of the horse, the more comfortable it's going to be. And that's also a grippier place for me. Kind of like if I were to stack you up there like a pyramid, okay? We want the strong, don't we? And then as we move up to my head at the top of the pyramid, that's not where I want to put a lot of tension or a lot of grip or a lot of weight, because that would easily tumble over. We don't want to be an inverted pyramid. We want to be a normal pyramid, okay? All right, let's do a little bit more. So you don't need to lean at him to get him to go forward. Think about picking him up and sending him forward. So use your breath, a little bit of leg, open up your chest. Good job. There you go. That's it. And just play with some of these ideas. Some of them might work, some of them might not. That's all okay. Good. Yeah, let him do the work. You're just swinging right along. Yeah. Shoulders are relaxed. Seat is taking up the bounce. Yes, ma'am. That looked really good right there. There you go. That looks like $1 million. Yeah. If you find you're wanting to lean at him, you're like, okay, hang on. Let me just play with some of these ideas. Yeah, good. Oh, yeah, you're all right. Good boy. Yeah, good horse right there. So we give him $20 for not spooking. He gets extra carrots, doesn't he? Yes, he does. Do you want it back, or do you want me to stick it over here?
No, I can go over there.
Okay, all right. We'll put it over here. So, breath. You don't, because if you lean at him, so what happens when you lean at him? He goes, okay, why are you leaning on my shoulders? And then, well, you, me, and everybody else, like I keep saying. Everything that you're doing is what I've done, or I see every other person do. So you don't get to be that special in that way. You get to be perfectly human. All right, so, yes, man. Wonderful. Did you see all that energy he offered you? He would have went right into the lope for you. I mean, he's like, okay, lady, you're talking my language. This is good. Yeah, good. Really good with your seat. Oh my gosh, you're onto something right there. And it's okay if you lose it. You're going to lose it. Just find it again. Yeah. Riding isn't about not making mistakes. Riding is about recovering from the mistake you're going to make. That's beautiful. Good for you. Yes, ma'am. And then just start thinking about walking. Just start thinking about it. And you're like, hey, yep. And he's like, oh, I didn't think about it as quick as you did, but he got there eventually. You did a really nice job. You asked with your body first. You asked with your mind. Then you asked with your body, and then you needed to follow it up with a little bit of rain, which is perfectly fine. But the more you guys get in sync with each other, all you'll have to do is think it. Have you ever had that happen with the horse? You think it, and they just do it. Isn't that the most beautiful thing? I love when that happens. Okay, let's change direction. So when you change direction, think about your puppet strings, because we don't need to lean. We just need to look, bring our belly button and our nose the same direction. There you go. Good. Yeah. Great with your body. Really good right there. Super nice. Good. And then just, I always do these little checks with my body. I'm like, oh, do I have some tension? Am I gripping with my thigh? Did my knee get tight? You know, I do all kinds of stuff where tension wants to find these little hidey holes in my body. You know, it's like, how about the middle of your back? And I'm like, oh, I'd rather not there. Ouch, right? So I just do a little body check, you know, I'm like, okay, and all these things I'm telling you, I run through my head. I just like, oh, remember you're this, remember you're that.